I didn't really have any role models, not as a kid, no.
I really didn't have any because I was more, I should say, as a loner, because everybody was different from me. And I had to depend on myself for things. So it was just me and myself and I.
And with me, I'd say my mom and dad, and then I had a few school teachers that I always felt close to. And getting back when you know you're gay, even in 7th grade or 8th grade, and you have a PE teacher that you hear rumors in the community that she's living with a woman. And
I guess my PE teacher, as so many, like Meg Christian's song about the gym teacher, I think was the title of it, and it fit me perfectly.
For me, the only figure that came to mind was Rock Hudson, who was an enormous superstar. He came out of the closet in 2 ways. In fact, it was probably his AIDS diagnosis that led to him coming out of the closet as a gay man in the mid-'80s before he passed away from AIDS. And Rock Hudson was this idol of the 1950s and 60s. And he was viewed as the most machismo man you could imagine. You just would never have thought. He broke every stereotype that back in that day people would have had about a gay man.
And I think RuPaul, to this very, very day, is a very huge influence and a very big worldwide influence, not just in the gay culture. But my father was definitely my biggest role model. And I smell his pipe tobacco in my car every day when I drive. He is with me all the time.
My mom, my poor mom, who suffered from me being such a radical, and having my picture in the paper and being on radio and TV, and she was largely at fault, for she was the one that told me about Mahatma Gandhi, about Martin Luther King. She gave me John Steinbeck to read and Pearl Buck, and it was my mom. And
Rosa Parks, for standing up for what she believed in. I respected people who, no matter what the cost, no matter if they were beaten for it, I looked up to people with that kind of nerve. And that gave me a backbone growing up, especially in my teenage years.
I would say one of my significant role models was the priest who was my mentor as I moved towards ordination. He suggested a book by an author whose name is Brennan Manning, and the name of the book was The Ragamuffin Gospel. And until I read that book, I did not fully, I don't think I had ever fully been grasped by the radical inclusivity of the grace of God.
My parents, because they always treated everybody equally.
I feel like I gain a lot from everybody, so I don't have a role model per se. I have multiple people that show me that things can be possible and that, with a little bit of adversity, you can find your strength.
Growing up, as I indicated, I didn't come out until I was age 30. So there are a lot of years there that I pretended to be somebody I wasn't. I was very uncomfortable. I had lots of shame. I did, in fact, date quite a bit. And that's back to that truth. There's nothing like living a big fat lie for a lot of years to give you a lot of angst and a lot of anxiety, and I definitely did that.
In the beginning, like I say, you're brought up, you go to school, you meet a girl, you get married, and you have kids. When you can't talk to anybody, and I knew I was different in grade school. I had these feelings, but trying to sort through them, I had nobody I could discuss it with. And even when I went into the service, it was just as bad, because you couldn't talk to anybody because I would have been dishonorably discharged.
Part of the fear of it, and of course at that time, although I was enjoying my sexual exploration of that whole realm and everything, I just did not want to be gay, because being gay just means you're going to get your ass kicked. That's all there is to it. You're going to be made fun of, you're going to catch crap.
Most things come down to religion and money. And they'll use one or the other against you.
I battle depression every day, but not because I'm gay. No, I'm very proud of who I am and what I am. I have a strong belief in God, and I have a strong faith in God. God does not make mistakes. He's perfect. I was raised that we're all created in His image. So I don't believe that homosexuality is a sin. I do not believe that I'm going to die and go to hell because I'm homosexual. I know that when I pass this earth and God is ready for me and He comes to get me, I will be reunited in heaven with my family members and friends who have gone before me.
I remember the night that I was planning to take my own life, and something made me dial Rick Collar up. And I did, I called him. And he stayed on the phone with me for 4 hours until my worst urges had passed. And to me, that was pure love on his part. And that was a pivotal moment for me. From that point forward, I never looked back. I only looked forward to being the best man, the best gay man I could.
So 16 years ago, when our son did come out officially to us, my husband and I were really concerned. You know, if he's going out to the bar, you know, a gay bar, is he going to be safe there? It was certainly way pre-Pulse, but you know, that idea was in my head, like, oh my God, what if somebody decides that they just need to do harm? And there I was thinking, oh no, how is this going to work?
Small towns aren't really known to be very friendly towards people who are different than them. So I did have that fear that if I was alone at any point, you know, that something could happen to me, or, you know, and there had been points where like I would catch wind of it possibly going down before I knew, and then I would like opt to not go places or do things because I'd be afraid that, you know, something would happen to me.
When I was living as Terry Morgan, I met a gentleman in the Fiesta one night, and we both had been drinking, and he offered me a ride home, and of course, you know, there were plans, so to speak, as you know, and he didn't know where I lived. And after I got in the car with him, I have a very good judge of character. I started feeling funny about the situation, and he happened to pull down my street not knowing that was where I lived, and he was in a Thunderbird, an older model, and in the Thunderbird in the glove box there's a button that will unlock the trunk, and there was someone hiding in the trunk, and he asked me if I would get out and shut the trunk. Well, I had already suspected something, so I immediately went to reach for my purse, and he grabbed it and pulled a gun on me. So in order to protect my life, my money was tucked in my bra. Little did he know. So I let go of the purse and I jumped out, but he had asked me to get out and close the trunk. Well, the plan was that when I got out and went to go close the trunk, the other gentleman was going to jump out and they were going to jump me and kill me. And they both were charged and went to prison for that.
You know, now we didn't walk down the streets holding hands during that period of time, but when we were in the bar, we could dance, we could hug, we could do everything that we wanted to do without interruption or without anybody saying anything. It was definitely a safe space. Bubba and Mike were just phenomenal in supporting us and giving us the space and giving us the ability to be free and to be who we were.
And if there was any sort of threat or dangerous activity going on, Mike and Bubba both were on top of that, and they had law enforcement here plenty of time to shoo it away.
The only trouble we had with police was when someone would come in, the rednecks come in the bar and cause trouble, the police would do very little about it. I mean, there was an incident where we got our front window shot out, and we gave them descriptions of the pickup truck and everything, and they pulled them over going towards 231, and sure, they had a gun, it had just been fired and all that kind of stuff, but they were good old boys and just know they didn't do it. And what can we do, you know?
A lot of Bay County is still a Bible beating town. There's going to be a lot of Christians who just don't agree and don't accept gay people and believe that gay people, homosexuality is a sin and that we're going to go to hell when we die. Well, my belief in that is, first of all, do not judge, yes, thee be judged. And if you're a true Christian and you're a true child of God, you know that.
Like I say, my biggest fear was my kids not accepting me, and that's what the kids are going through nowadays, is they're afraid their parents aren't going to accept them, and it was just, I was just blown away.
I think we've come a long ways. We have a lot further way to go, and unfortunately I would attribute our biggest challenges within the community ultimately come down to religious dogma. And I think it's that religious dogma that's taught in fundamental ways in certain church denominations that causes the clash between what's right and wrong. But I would suggest to, no matter where you are on that religious spectrum, that doing the right thing is not to judge and is to embrace people no matter how different you perceive them to be from who you are, and love them no matter what. And I'm pretty certain that's what's taught in many of those fundamental institutions as well.
In June and July of 1991, within 30 days, my son was born, and my brother-in-law died of AIDS. He died of AIDS at a time when it was still misunderstood, even abused, it's our understanding, and he died in a hospital where no one would touch him. He died, before he died, he wondered if he was going to hell. The only person that would touch him and visited him was an Episcopal priest. In that moment and in that kind of the birth of my son, the death of my brother-in-law, both children of God, is when I clearly began to understand this claim of an identity. And I'm using that instead of the word choice. This is not a choice. He wondered aloud, you know, why would God do this to me? And God didn't do this. You know, this is a claim. This is who you are, and you are loved. It is not a choice. It is not a second-class claim. This is a claim of identity, being wonderfully and marvelously made by God.
Unfortunately, there's probably not enough of us out there telling them that it's going to get better, that it's not always going to be this way, it hasn't always been this way, and that things do change. And most of the time, things change for the better. I believe.
I think that history defines our future. Without our history, it's hard to know where to go from here. So you need to know who came before you, what it was like, the challenges they faced, how they overcame them, because you're still going to face challenges, and having that history of knowing how other people dealt with adversity is going to help you as you develop as a young man or a young woman in this society.
I was so involved in ERA, we had a Chicago gathering that filled several city blocks in open blocks that they had for that kind of thing. Archie Bunker's wife was our speaker, and we were thousands and thousands, and you know, we're still struggling for some of those same rights, but not under that title.
Certainly the 1993 March on Washington for LGBTQ rights, that was significant. I had never been exposed to that many LGBTQ people in my entire life at that point, and I was overwhelmed with joy. And I believe that that march has really helped change our society for the better.
The gay marriage really opened up some really good doors. I think we should have just as much rights in life to date and marry who we fall in love with, just like a heterosexual couple. And I think with the rights that they have from your tax table of putting two incomes together in one household, I felt cheated all my life that I couldn't do that with the person I loved. And just this past March, we were able to file together for the first time ever.
There was 4 of us that went down to Panama City Hall to apply for a marriage license before anything was legal. And it was fun. We had about 75 people show up to support us. And that kind of set a precedence for Panama City here. We were the first ones to ever try it and be turned down. So, has to start somewhere.
Gay marriage, obviously, because that, you know, I didn't think that was going to happen, but I'm thankful that it did. And kind of to get off topic for a minute, you know, I'm really like thankful for all the people who before me were, you know, brave and, you know, said what they needed to say, and, you know, so I'm thankful for those people who paved the way for me.
Acceptance. I see it manifesting itself through education. Back in my younger era, there wasn't so much newsletters and publications for people to learn and read. And I think that publication, social media has helped a lot.
The major ones was Kent State, and the last one was in Orlando, Pulse nightclub, because I had to deal with the aftermath with my patients. It happened in Orlando, and the reason it happened, in my opinion, the guy couldn't deal with the fact that he was gay.
The biggest accomplishments that have occurred in the LGBTQ community over the years, I believe, has been, quite frankly, I would say social marketing. Maybe that's the mechanism that's helped facilitate that, but it really is getting people to understand that their old stereotypes, much the way I was describing, don't judge a book by its cover with superficial judgments, that you know, you really don't know an individual till you sit down and get to know them and talk to them. So I think with social media and with some celebrities that have been willing to come out of the closet, which have been quite numerous, I think, in the last few years, that it gave role models, and we have role models now and examples of people that you're seeing in a much more normalized fashion, and for lack of a better word, because what really is normal, as we say.
This administration we have now, and I was not going to talk about politics, is shocking, because I think there has been a level of hate and allowability for hate that's been unleashed on the world that we have learned to temper for a very long time. And I understand that you cannot legislate morality, and that's okay, but I think just to hate because you're not like someone is very, very wrong.
Back in the day, I think that we educated each other. We saw what happened. We would see something happen to one person, and we would be there for them. And I can remember in the winter times with the Harrison Avenue It was nothing but a parade of redneck vehicles with eggs thrown at the fiesta and Bible beaters standing out behind the fiesta. We would be going in to get ready for the show, and the Christians, the Bible beaters would be out there telling us homosexuality is a sin, you're going to hell. And I simply looked at one lady and I said, that's not for you to say, and I thank you for your opinion, because opinions, I don't want to say the way I said it to her. Opinions are like assholes, everyone's got one.
I don't know why I get so emotional about this stuff, but like even those times of getting the Hathaway, especially that time that really stands out to me is that time when the Supreme Court had decided that marriage was legal in every state of this country. And people went out of that bridge with those rainbow flags. It was such a great celebration. People were so happy and so proud. And I hate this, I'm just was so excited about the way people responded, because it was waves and honking horns. And they really, I think they really enjoyed that they had an opportunity to celebrate with us, that this was happening in our country. And it was that was quite a moment. That was really quite a moment.
When I can talk with somebody on the phone, such as a mom struggling, or even a young person struggling, and I feel as though I've made some connection with them, that's great. And I feel as though I've helped them, that's wonderful. Life is all about connections and what we do with them. And I am happy to, I'm just happy to be available as a contact and as a connection for people who need it.
I'm proud that Bubba and I had the gay bar business for as long as we did, as representing the community, the gay community, and we tried real hard to run a good, clean business, and without being scandals.
I feel proud that I was able to be in a very loving, monogamous relationship with my husband, Richard. I'm very proud of that, because early on when I came out as a gay person, it seemed to me that the gay culture was very promiscuous, and committed relationships were hard to come by. I'm happy to say that since the passage of the Marriage Act, there are many more relationships to look at and emulate. But back then there weren't. And so I'm very proud of that relationship.
Through what PFLAG has totally come and done years back, 13 years back, we were so involved and happy to get to go to Ron and Richard's home for the first anniversary of PFLAG. And we had been at some meetings before that when we heard that there was going to be the first anniversary party. So my hat goes off certainly to Cathy and Jerry Rifenburg, and much with Ron, and then Bob, and then we've known Butch even before there was ever a PFLAG. We've known Butch for so many years, of him coming into the likeliness of things we've done through the community, and they're my heroes in this town.
I talked to a couple of young guys that are in the military, and they're like, you know, really young and in the military, and I shared my story with them, and they just couldn't even comprehend, because now it's completely different. So I guess that kind of makes me proud to see how far we've come as a society, you know, that makes me proud. It makes me very proud, and it makes me proud to be a part of it, you know, to be a part of the gay community.
The work I've done, I've always been like a radical. My brother said I was out before it was popular.
When I see something on television or in a video that we have all collectively made together, and I think that's what I like most, is working with other people. I like collective efforts, collaborative efforts. I don't think any one of us by ourselves is just absolutely the greatest thing ever. I think we all need each other.
The fact that we can actually say that, you know, we are who we are, and we're not as judged as we used to be. Now I see all over Facebook, all over any social media I see them on the news. Even in high school, they're out, they're living their lives. They're not hiding that they're gay, they're not hiding that they're lesbians, they're not hiding anything.
For not just my children and my grandchildren, but all of their extended families and the young people who think that they have nothing to offer. I think we are all so beat down as children, and everybody's a workaholic, and it's all about what can you buy, what can you get, how many iPods can you have, and I think that the youth they are our future. And our youth has to be saved, and they have to be told that you are okay exactly as you are.
I would like to be a role model for the younger generation. As far as a role model for the younger entertainers that are upcoming, I would like to be a role model for them, and I would like for them to be able to feel like they could come to me with any questions that they may have.
Kids, with my kids, and they always come to me. They came to me before, and they were telling me about one of the guys when they used to live with their mother before they lived with us. They was telling us about a guy that was letting all the kids use his car and everything. I said, "You sure he's not gay?" "Oh no, he's got a girlfriend." I said, "Well, your mother and I was married too." And then wasn't 2 months later, he was arrested because he raped one of the kids. And of course, the parents all wanted me to come up and talk to him, which I did. So, I mean, it made me feel good that I could let them know that most people that molest kids are not gays. And I think that's important because, especially in this area, because that's most people think we are as child molesters.
I am a role model for the young people. Being that I have HIV, I deal as a peer for young people and other people of all backgrounds.
I'd like to be a role model for other activists, for other people that I work with. I think it's really important to hold on to that tenacity, that you don't give up, you don't always win.
If I could be an influence or a role model for anyone that's young and can see that I'm a gay man that's successful and not slipped into any kind of slot that society creates for us, and that it's possible, then that would be awesome, because I certainly could have used that when I was a teenager.
I would tell my younger self, be louder and prouder.
Go for it faster, quicker.
I think what I would say to him at 8 or 9, please don't let your sexual orientation ever be a reason why you can't come to your parents.
It's gonna be okay, and that, sorry, to be patient with yourself, and that everything is happening and it's not always your fault.
It's gonna be okay. That's it. Just that it's gonna be okay.
Do everything that you've done. keep on fighting. Be honest with yourself. Don't ever be ashamed of who you are or what you are. And be proud of who you are, because everyone is equal. No matter what anybody says, everyone is equal.
If I could write a letter to my younger self, I would tell myself, be more proud. Don't be so scared.
You're right. You know, your activism was right. You weren't. I think I would second guess myself less, and be out more, even as out as I was. I think I would be more proud of it and be out more.
That message would be to love yourself and to be who you are, no matter what nobody says.
I wish I could have met her earlier, you know, and because we just melded together. So be yourself.
Let love win. Let love win.
Don't ever give up on who you are, because who you are is real and authentic and deserving of love. Amen.
We're gay, but we're also your brothers, your sisters, and your children, you know. But that's the way God made us. It's not a choice, you know.
There is a great future. We have an opportunity. This is our turn. This is our time to talk to each other and love each other and encourage each other and stop this hate.
For the younger generation, don't be afraid of what you are and who you are, because we're all created by God and we're created in His image. And be honest, and honesty will get you so much further in this world than hiding behind your feelings and who you are.
You're more than what you think. And to give yourself time, because you'll find it.
Just keep evolving, I guess. Just keep going. You know, when I look back and see how far, not just homosexuality or being gay or everything has come, and acceptance and all of that, but everything, a lot of things, we're evolving and we're changing, and it's incredible. I hope we never lose our history and understand why we are where we are now, and the people that made it happen. Just keep growing and don't go backwards.
Continue to be your authentic selves and have a place in your heart for everyone.
Well, I can say I'm hoping that by that point that our struggles that we go through now and that we have been through are no more. That we're no longer in a society that we feel as though we have to explain who we are and what we are and who we love and why we love them. That we're in a world that it's no longer any kind of issue. That we don't have to go out and have marches, and we don't have to have anything that we've had to do to reach a point that we all coexist peacefully, being ourselves and being happy with who we are.
I would like just to see more people exposed to opportunities of gathering, sharing, being warm, looking out for each other. Gee, you know, I was lonely at the end of that dirt road by myself. I think we all need each other, and there has to be many out there that need us, and we haven't found them yet.
God made you. God knows you by your name, and God loves you. And no matter where you go, whatever you face in life, God will never lose you. And the blessing of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit be with you this day and forever.
going to be okay.